All right, Amy, it's so good to see you here today, and it's so good to know that you're willing to talk to us.
Thank you.
Especially because you are over 100 years old.
Correct.
That is a long time.
I can't really believe it.
It's just wonderful, and you're so with it. You're so cool. I mean, you are going to be an inspiration for all the people who see you today.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So why don't you tell us about your life when you were first born? Where were you born, and where did your parents come from?
My parents came from Lenola, Lenola, Italy, and my father came in 1905, and that's how he got the job at the Hillstead Museum, because he was put in by the Rose family. They used to be our painters here in Farmington. Were you aware, Kathy, Rose family? And so my father already had a job when he came to America. Then my sister and my mom came in 1909. And that's, my brother was born first in 1910, and I was born in 1912. That's the extent of our family.
That's wonderful. And where were you born?
I was born on Colton Street.
Colton Street.
Yeah, right next to the Rose family's home, because they had an apartment for us to stay.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah, when my dad came.
Now, were you born in Hartford at the hospital there, or were you born at home?
No, I was born at home.
You were born at home?
My mother was a midwife.
Oh.
She was a midwife in Italy, and she became a midwife here in Farmington for all the Italian people in Farmington and Unionville.
What is a midwife?
A midwife is like a nurse or a doctor, help the doctor.
Okay.
And they're still having midwife in America now.
It's re-emerging now, isn't it?
Correct, yes. And my mother, all the Batista family, and all the Labadias family, and my cousin next door, they were captive pharaohs, and Jimmy and I. My mother, I guess my brother had to be. She must have delivered both, but she was a midwife. She knew what to do. She didn't have to go.
She was a pioneer.
She certainly was.
Yeah, indeed.
She did, and she helped Dr. Stuart Phelps when the children would be born for the Italian family here in Farmington.
Now, did she only help Italian women?
That's all she did, yes.
Was there a reason for that, or is it because
they couldn't understand English? The doctor wouldn't know what they were saying, so Mom would do what she. I don't know how they did it, but they were pretty bright to do things like that.
Exactly. Now, so you were born on Colton Street at home.
At home.
And did you always live on Colton Street then?
No, we moved out of there, and then we moved on Mill Lane. The house before the corner house, the one in the middle.
Okay.
And Helen Batista lives on the house where we went to school together down below there. And then my father stayed there until I was 7 years old.
Okay.
So when I was 7 years old, he bought this house.
Now, which house? Now, where are we now?
Now, from Mill Lane, we came to this house.
Okay.
On Hobart.
On Hobart Street.
It wasn't known as Hobart at the time, because when we had our tercentenary, that's when they named all the streets in Farmington, so they named ours Hobart.
Oh, isn't that
interesting? Some were saying they should have named it the Captain Pharaoh. But my uncle and my dad lived there, and the Tribuzio family. They lived in the corner house over there.
Okay. Now, when you were a little girl, your dad worked for the state of Connecticut. Is that correct?
No, he worked for the Hillstead Museum.
Oh, the Hillstead Museum. I'm sorry. Your husband worked for the.
My husband worked for the state
of Connecticut. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead. So tell us about your dad. What kind? Did you go and help him ever when he went to work, or did you ever go to work with him?
No.
Because nowadays people go to work.
Oh yeah, that's true. They take their sons or whatever.
So when you think about your dad, did he do a lot of fixing up at home? Was he a gardener?
He certainly did. He was a gardener. We had our own garden in our backyard here, and on the front of the house, on the side, outside the house near the river, and we had our own veggies, and fruit. We had fruit trees, 3 fruit trees. They were a peach tree, apple tree. I think there were 2 apples and 1 peach, if I remember correctly. And of course, then they took them down when they got they weren't worth any more to have up in the land. So we leveled out our land here.
What did your parents do with the extra fruit and the extra vegetables if they couldn't eat them all?
Well, they used to distribute to their friends and relatives.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. Then
Did they ever make sauce or do anything like that?
My mother made sauce galore. She canned, you name it, she canned it. We had it down in the basement.
They did can it, okay.
Oh, she did a lot of canning.
Okay.
And we didn't have a store to go for food shopping. So Mr. Mancini, I think you hear about Mancini peppers.
Yeah.
Well, he was our man to go. He used to bring our big, long containers of macaroni, of all kinds of types of macaroni. And my mother used to make her own with the eggs too, and flour, because she had a machine. At first she did by hand, then she bought this machine that came from Italy, that you can roll the dough in there to make Italian pasta.
Oh, I bet that was really good.
I still have the machine.
You do?
Yeah, in my shelf there, but I don't know if I was going to use it.
Now, did you help your mother when she cooked?
I certainly did. I came home from school, and when I was also practicing basketball, the last few years of Farmington here, and I enjoyed helping. But we did can. We used to can tomatoes, peppers. Oh no, peppers we used to put them in this big barrel. They used to put vinegar in it and preserve them.
A big barrel? Oh,
yeah, we used to go down the basement and pick them up. Then we had a bin to put our potatoes in.
Right.
We had a garden down from the bridge to, what's the name of the street that goes to Avon? The land that goes...
Brickyard?
Near the... No, the one before Brickyard.
Are you thinking Route 10, Waterville Road?
Waterville Road.
Waterville Road.
Waterville Road. My father owned the land. He bought this parcel of land. And everyone kept saying, how can your dad do? Well, he was a good worker. When he worked for Hillstead Museum, he worked for Mr. Hopkins on High Street. In the winter, he would do the snow for him and the other one, I can't remember their name. There were two families on High Street on the right-hand side.
So he'd clear the road, clear the way for them.
He did the snow for them in the winter.
Okay.
And then the grass in the summer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He just
plus doing his other work.
Plus doing his own work here at home. He was never in the house. Mom used to have to say, come on in, dinner's ready. He was never ready to come in.
Now, did he ever cook your dad or no?
No, my dad never cooked.
He would never cook.
But I remember helping him saw wood. We used to have I forgot what you call them. They used to put the wood in them.
Right.
And he'd get them one end. I used to love to do things like that. And
so you helped your dad then?
I did.
Were you daddy's girl?
And my brother did too. And then we used to have a barn right side of the river here on that hill.
On the other side of the river or this side?
No, this on
this side of the river.
land.
Okay.
And we used to. My father used to chop wood, and my brother and I used to give us about a quarter each time to put it in the barn. We used to stack it up neatly in the barn. My brother and I did that after school.
Now, how old were you when you were doing that, probably?
Oh, gosh, I don't remember now.
Say, were you in high school, or were you in...
I was here in Noah Wallace.
Over Noah Wallace, okay. So you were a young person.
A young person.
What other kinds of chores did you do around the house for Mom and Dad?
Well, I used to help her in the house to clean, and we used to do the dishes at night. And,
who washed and who dried?
I washed and my brother dried. We used to help Mom because she was really a good worker.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
She took care of the
Do you think that made you? One of the things I noticed about you, Amy, is the fact, because I did listen to your recording that you made several years ago, is you're so optimistic. You have such a wonderful way of, just a wonderful face. You have a wonderful open face, and you're very.
You know why?
Why?
Because I had a happy life. My mom and dad were wonderful. We used to have parties downstairs. Oh, we used to have a pig also.
A pig?
A pig.
Whoa.
On a little corner of the house here, facing the river there. And in the winter, after when it was big enough, Mr. Loretti, he lived on right next to, right here on Garden Street. The second house on Garden Street was Mr. Loretti. And he used to be the one who used to, I hate to say it, when they killed the pig. And my brother and I used to plug our ears.
Oh, right.
We didn't want to hear.
He was a butcher.
Oh, yes, I know it. And so we he used to have big parties, and then they cured their own ham. And this is no lie. Those good Italian ham that they have, pizzuti.
Yeah.
And they at parties, my mother baked her own bread.
Right.
I never helped Mom bake, but I didn't help her even mix the dough. but she did it all herself.
Did it all herself.
We had
Did she have a mixer, or how did she do it?
She did it by hand.
By hand, okay.
Hand. And then she had the oven and those stoves we used to put in our kitchen. I forgot
that's
the
wonderful.
name of the stoves now. Isn't that awful?
The stove is
First they were dark. They were, what is that material now they used to
stone?
make? Stone. What's stone? And we still have she, oh, I forgot.
She put the bread on the stone?
Oh, no, she put the bread, no. Well, it was a brick, we had an oven.
A brick oven?
She formed the loaves and bake them in our oven.
Okay, I got it. Now, did she ever make pizza or not?
Yes,
she did make pizza.
Pizza galore.
She did.
From our own, see, all that land my dad, that he had down here, she put everything in cans.
She canned everything.
She did.
So the store, now, there's an expression called, it can't be better than white sliced bread. Now, can you remember the first time you ever saw white sliced bread? When you were a little girl or high school? Where were you? When was that, probably?
Well, she made her own bread all the time, my mother.
Right.
Big loaves.
But what I'm talking about is store-bought bread.
No, we never bought.
You never had
We
store-bought
didn't have
bread.
a store in Farmington until Mancini came to get our order for meats and stuff.
And he was from Bristol?
He was from New Britain.
New Britain. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
there was no such thing of a Stop and Shop or nothing like
not
that.
Until I was maybe in high school. I forgot now. We used to have like we have the stores now, but not as big.
Right, right.
And then they got
Small.
rid of the one in Farmington, so that's why my father went on to that. But we had our own meats. My mom used to make sausages, dry them, put them up in the attic and dry them up, and then put them in the in oil to preserve them whenever you need them. That way you could do, or have them when you cook on top of the stove.
And did you have an ice box then to keep things?
Yes, we had no ice box. I'll never forget the ice box. And we used to have ice delivered by Maria Brothers.
Okay.
And the family still live here on the way to Unionville, the Maria family.
Did you ever see them cut ice? Did you ever see how they cut the ice?
My dad, at that time, he was not working with Miss Porter School, with the Hillstead. He worked for Miss Porter School, and they had they're still there, that water, big pool, and that's how they used to make ice there. I remember my dad working there.
Oh, they submerge. They put the big trays in the freezing water and right,
the freezing water,
brine
and
water.
Cut it. And so, what I say now, the Rose family, they bought it and they delivered every week for us for our ice box. I'll never forget the ice boxes. I'm glad we got nice ones now, refrigerators.
Well, that was the state of the art back then.
State of the art,
that was it. Yeah, and there was no such thing as Mr. Carrier. He's the one that kind of got into refrigeration, Dr. Carrier.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've talked about your early life.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about your academic life, because you had a very wonderful experience in school.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off with the Noah Wallace School. Where was it called Noah Wallace School?
Wallace.
Was it always called that?
No. Oh boy, no, I'm forgetting.
The center school? Did they call it the center school?
Center school.
Center
Center
school.
school at first.
Okay.
Then just Noah Wallace gave a lot of money to our school system.
Okay.
And that's how they named it the Noah Wallace School.
Oh,
so
I see.
when I graduated from Farmington High Schools, from Noah Wallace, it was Noah Wallace School.
It was called Noah Wallace School
By that
then.
time.
Do you remember when the year you graduated from Noah Wallace?
Yeah, I graduated. Oh boy.
1920.
No, not high school. High school, I was, and I am really forgetting those two dates.
Well, let's see. You were born in 1912.
I was born in 1912.
Okay, so if you graduated in 1930, you'd have been 18. So maybe 1929, 28,
No, I
29?
graduated in 1932 from high.
1932. Oh, because you were sick.
Yeah, because I was sick I had that disease,
Influenza?
influenza during the war.
No, tell us about the influenza. What was that?
It was really, really bad. And our doctors used to come and see us at your home at the time. My mother was sick. My mother and my sister, she lived with us then, and she wasn't married yet, and they were very, very sick, but I got sick too. So I missed a whole year at school here in New Wallace, and maybe more if I remember correctly, because either I stayed back 1 year or I cannot understand why I wasn't up to the right amount a year.
Right.
And I graduated in 1932 from Farmington High.
Okay, so you were one of the many people perished in that. Many people died from the flu.
Yes,
many people died.
And I got sick one day, and Dr. Phelps came to see me, and he told Mom to get me out of bed. So I got out of bed, and I had all pins and needle in my feet, and I couldn't walk, and I was crying. So doctor says, put her back in bed a little longer.
A little bit longer. So back then, doctor came to the house.
To the house.
Did he have a horse and buggy, or did he have a car back then?
I don't know how he traveled, to be truthful. No, I don't recall that.
Did he live right locally here?
No, he lived here down on the way to Avon, near the port, near the Farmington Country Club.
Okay.
What's the name of that street?
Waterville Road?
Waterville Road?
Waterville Road, yeah.
Okay.
I'm forgetting the streets of Farmington. The only one I remember is High Street, Main Street, Hobart Street, Garden Street.
Well, you're doing great.
Good.
You're doing great, Amy. And it's
you.
so interesting to hear all these wonderful things. I mean, really,
That's awesome.
because when most people think of the doctor, they complain because they have to go drive in their car,
Yeah.
and then they have to wait for the doctor. And now, and the doctor came to you,
house.
right?
Yeah.
That's quite a
And then
wonderful
I got
thing.
a very bad ear problem, and I lived on Mill Lane. You know, to walk up that hill up to Main Street. My sister used to take me there, and they'd come here to what's the name of the street again? I forgot.
Waterville?
Waterville Road, and that's where his office was.
Oh, okay. So they took
Dr.
you there.
Stuart Phelps.
Now, who was your favorite teacher when you went to school?
Oh, I had several. Nice.
Say Noah Wallace now, or middle.
All right.
And why were they kind?
One was our music teacher, and I
Okay.
forgot her name.
That's
she
all
used
right.
to come from another town. She used to come like once a week. And one was my...
Did you like to sing, or did you play an instrument?
I was in every concert they used to have, like a concert. Not a concert, though.
Well, a concert, yeah.
When children get together and they sing.
Choir?
A choir, like.
Yeah.
And I remember once a year around when school was about, in the fall, just before before Christmas came,
Right.
they had Parents' Day, and my father came up every time to hear me in that, like a choir, but we used to have operettas. That's what it was called.
Okay, well.
And I always sang in there.
That's a theater production, really.
Yeah, I love
Almost like a
sing.
play.
Yeah,
Did you do a
yeah.
play, too?
Yes.
They had
Yeah.
plays
We
at
had
the...
plays
plays?
also. Mhm.
Yes.
Did you think that gave you a lot of
That's gave me
ability
obvious
to
help.
not be afraid to talk to people, to be more
Correct.
open?
I like everything about school.
Do you think the arts are important for young people?
I think so. They should go into all. I went to every sport you could think of.
Oh, in sports as well. Now, that was unusual for girls back then, wasn't it? I don't think girls were encouraged to do that, were they?
No, they weren't. No.
Did they make it hard for you?
No, we used to have practice at night after school up here in Noah, and we used to have May Day at our central, when it was Center Street School, May Day, and we used to have maypole.
Mm-hmm. They wanted the maypole?
They had a maypole, and they had it where you go right around with the
Ribbon?
flags,
Yeah.
the ribbons, yeah.
Did you like that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved everything about school.
Right.
And I
Now,
loved high
you
school.
loved your music teacher. Now, I think that you were pretty quantitative.
Miss Watson was
Miss
her name.
Watson.
Watson. She used to come from, I don't know, but several towns beyond Farmington.
Right, right. Well, I think lots of times when you think about teachers, they usually live right in the same town, but lots of times they come, nowadays particularly, they come from all the way over.
Yeah.
Now, you had a real propensity for mathematics. Now, why do you think you liked arithmetic so much? And other...
I also love I love shorthand, and I also loved algebra.
Okay.
I still really, I really majored in that, in algebra. So when I was hired at the Aetna Life and Casualty, they put me in the accounts department.
Because your mathematic background,
Yes,
right?
yeah. And then
You liked algebra because you could figure it out easily.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I just loved multiplication and division.
Yeah.
And Mr. now I'm forgetting our teacher. It's in my papers here somewhere. In high school, he was very nice about that.
You must have. He must have been. You must have had good teachers.
Yes, I did. They were very nice.
Now, when you think back of
I had
no,
shorthand and typing. And
you had that at high school, though, right?
In high school.
How about back in Noah Wallace? Now, back in center school.
I just played basketball, and I was in the operas.
In the operas. And what about that? What about learning your multiplication tables and division and all that?
I learned.
Do you remember your teacher? You had one
that
teacher.
At Compton High School. Yeah, that was Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns. Okay. Okay, that's great. Mm-hmm. All right. So now we know about your academic life. We know about your family life when you were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about that point before you went to high school now, can you remember any kind of other than the flu, which is a terrible thing, can you remember any other kinds of things that happened, like a big winter storms, or what was it like when the snow came down and it was very heavy snow? What would they do?
I remember many times, Jimmy and I used to walk from here to Noah Wallace.
Right.
And it was center school first, then became Noah Wallace. And we always walked. And sometimes we got up to the school. We didn't have telephones at that time.
Right.
And we found that the buses couldn't bring the kids to the school, so the school was closed.
Oh, because you were so close.
Correct. But now, shortly after that, when I had a telephone down. I lived downstairs on the first floor.
Okay.
Our number was 272. So and our operators right here in the corner, where that insurance company is over there.
Deming. Yeah.
Deming. Yeah. And what was his name? Now he retired. He was there. I had.
Buzz Whitaker.
Buzz Whitaker. Yeah. Buzz Whitaker was there. But I used to be our telephone office.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah. That was our telephone office in that corner there.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Buzz Whitaker's house.
So then you had a telephone, and that was like when you were still at Noah Wallace.
Still at Noah Wallace. And all they had to do, the operators, because I had a cousin working in there, they had to put that plug in this, some place on top.
Switchboard.
Yeah, on the board, and push the button in, and then we get our number that we wanted.
Now, did you have a party line? Do you remember? Or was it just
ours was
direct, private line.
Private line.
Isn't that great?
Got that. My father did everything nicely in here, and he put in a nice bathroom for us too, and furnished, of course. Mm-hmm. We had all the accommodations, my brother and I, and he made this a two-family house. When this house he first bought it, had this room. In the middle room, a bedroom, and it had, and then just the downstairs. 4 rooms downstairs. Underneath the middle room was another bedroom, my mother's, and then the dining room, the kitchen, and the living room, and the bedroom. Mm-hmm. 4 rooms downstairs and 2 up here. This was my room. My brother was that room on the other side.
Oh,
it's on the other side of the river. He wanted the riverside.
He wanted the riverside, huh? Well, he was your older brother, right?
He was older.
Because you were the youngest child.
Yeah, I was the youngest in the family.
Yeah, okay. Isn't that great? So you and your brother, you were great friends, though, you and your brother.
We had a lot of relatives and friends here in town, and we knew each other nicely. Then my father got my uncle, and he bought, not this house, this is new one, but that Sweeney put in here, Mr. Sweeney, but all open space. But they used to... my uncle lived next door. My father sponsored him, and he started working at the museum.
What does sponsored mean?
Sponsored. Somebody, in order for you to get a job like they do now, they should be doing that instead of people coming in from Europe and Asia and all those places without a pass.
Right.
And you have to have a job before you got here.
Oh, okay.
So my father got my
So a sponsor is someone who gets you a job.
Gets you a job and gets you to America.
And gets you to
he
America.
Got my uncle from America.
Okay.
And he lived next door. And he bought house next door, and my father bought this house before he did.
Okay. Well, this is great. So, okay, so now one last question before we move up to high school and beyond. Was there ever when the snow came, going back to the snow, how did they plow the roads? Did they plow the roads or let them go? What did they do? How did they use?
I'm going to tell you, Jimmy and I, from here, my father used to do the snow up to the Garden Street.
Right.
He and my uncle would get together.
Right.
And that's how Jimmy and I got to school. But in the road, hardly any. They didn't plow too quickly then. I don't know how they plowed. I don't remember now. But we used to walk in the where the wheels made.
Oh, with the car. Okay, the track, car tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the tracks of the cars, and wagons too. In the beginning, when I was a little girl, it'd be wagons.
They had wagons. Yeah. Well, that's great. Okay, so now your athletic career. Let's hear about. You loved Farmington High School. What was the best thing you loved about Farmington High School?
Oh, I love the sports that I participated in.
Tell us about which sports those were.
Basketball and hockey.
Field hockey.
Field hockey. I have a picture.
What position did you play in field hockey? Do you remember? Forward.
I got a picture in here.
Oh, you do. Let's get the. Where's the picture?
I get it for you. No, it's in the middle. Excuse me.
Sure. Take your time.
No, it's over here, dear. This is from the Historical Society. I think it's here. You want to look and see if it's
sure.
in there? I think that's what it is.
Okay.
But I have 4 class books here, but now
Oh, look at that.
I didn't know where mine.
Isn't that something? Now you're gonna have to show us you.
Oh,
Don't
yes.
trip over that thing.
Okay.
Okay, once you sit down again, and
Now
then
put this.
and then we'll hold it up and see if I can zero in on that.
Okay.
Let's see. There you go.
I think I'm the last one on here. The last one on.
The last one there.
Yeah. Then was the one who was just 100 now, and then Helen Batista. I remember some of the girls, but this is me, dear.
That's you.
Mm.
Let me hold that up. Right there.
Does it look like me?
You know what? You've retained your youth.
Yeah.
You
And
look
let me
good.
show you the book that we went to Washington D.C. before we graduated.
You went to Washington
Washington
D.C.
D.C. with a class.
Now,
Not
how did you
all
get
of us.
down there? What was your mode of
Well,
transportation?
Well, we had to take. We had to go to. Oh, isn't that
Hartford?
Yeah, we had to go Hartford to take the train.
Train.
And we went to down to the Penn Station.
Penn
to take the
Station, New
train
York.
To go to New York.
And then you went from New York to D.C.
Picture. I got a class picture there in the dining room, honey.
The dining
Okay.
room,
Yeah, you
okay.
go. You want to go
Okay.
see? It's right in the corner. As you walk into your left side there. Let me
Isn't
see.
that great? That's
I want to make
beautiful.
sure that is me. Because I could have sworn that was me. Yeah, and that's Gertrude. Yeah, this is me.
That's great. That is wonderful.
Yeah,
So-
that one there, dear.
Oh, this
That's
is
our class
beautiful.
book.
I love this frame.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful.
Okay, there we are.
Mm-hmm. Can you find me in here?
Let's see. Let's see if we can. Let's see.
We used to wear those funny hats. I'm the second one here.
Zoom it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm the
Flip
second one
flip it
in-
around 1 minute, Amy.
Yeah, okay.
Put it right in front of you. There we go. Okay. Now pick
Is
it up.
there-
Pick it a little higher up. Pick it up higher. Just hold it a little bit higher so we can see the.
And we think the second one here is you,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
and they wear
correct.
hats.
Yep, we used to wear hats.
Isn't that now? Point to that. Point to Amy.
Let me just make sure I'm getting it right,
And
Amy.
the second one.
Hold on. Here, this one right there?
Yes.
Okay. So this one here is Amy Spirito.
Wow.
And you figure you were what grade? You think you're freshman?
No, we're seniors.
Seniors,
Seniors.
they were
Yeah, the
Senior.
seniors, yeah.
They were seniors then.
That was a large group that would take that trip.
Oh, yes, right.
Right.
And we had two male teacher with us. That was Joe Burns.
Uh-huh.
And then, oh dear, now I'm forgetting our woman teacher. She was still in high school after I graduated. Oh, I can't remember.
Well, that's okay. Joe Burns. That's
Yeah,
pretty
Joe
good right
Burns.
there.
That
He
wouldn't
was
be
my math
Stacia
teacher.
Bellasi, was it?
He was your
it
math
Stacia
teacher?
Bellasi, the other teacher?
No, she was way after me.
Oh, way after.
My son had her.
Okay.
My son had
That's
Stacia.
a lovely photograph.
He was your math teacher
though.
then. So he must have been a great teacher.
Oh, he was one.
'Cause you were great at math.
Everybody, you know what? I'm going to tell you. Everyone says to me, "Oh, you wait to get Joe Burns. He's very strict." Well, I went there. He was so good to me. I had no problem at all.
Well, it's probably because you were a good student. Of course.
And then he used to leave. He used to leave the class once in a while. At that time, we didn't have a girl working in the office.
Right.
So he would leave our class, just the math class.
Right.
And and he says to me, Amy, I want you to take in charge of my class. So he can stay long in the office there. So one of the boys, Gidio Loretti, he was in my class. He got kind of smart one time. I said, Gidio, you just stay nice and quiet and keep good and quiet because I don't want to hear anything else from you. And I know because he was a Loretti right next door to me.
Right,
almost.
right. Oh, that's, well,
I love that.
It sounds like you had a wonderful, how big were the classes back then? How many children were in a class or kids?
I think when we graduated, about 50 of us, that's all.
50 in the whole class?
52, yeah.
So your math class, was that was probably like?
That was 1932.
Right, so like 20 kids in a class probably? Or?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So other than, he taught you, you learned algebra? Did you go on to did you take?
I took 4 years of French. I don't know what I needed it for.
4 years of French?
To get your credits, you know.
Right.
But I liked it. But we used to speak it fluently, too. So I spoke Italian, French, and English.
Isn't that great? Now,
three languages.
do you still know Italian? Do you still remember Italian?
I do some.
How could you say, glad to see you, Jay?
Piacere a vedere. Vedere. Yeah, to see you.
Yeah.
Happy to see you.
Isn't that is just wonderful. Thank you for that.
A lot of time.
Well, I'm happy to see you as well.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Okay, so we've gone now. High school. Now you didn't talk about basketball. Tell us did you play? Were you a shooter in basketball? A defender?
I was I was a one that's supposed to shoot.
Forward.
A forward, yeah. Forward.
Right. Well, let me ask you a question, Amy. Now, back then, they really made it so hard for the girls. They made those funny rules. You had to do this and do that. And now it's much different.
Much different.
So, do you watch now?
Yes. Now you don't go in the middle every time you make a basket. You don't go to shoot. To hit the ball again.
Okay.
We had to do that, but now they don't do that.
Right.
They do it differently. So
do you enjoy watching the girls on TV?
UConn.
You a UConn fan? Oh, isn't that great?
UConn.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, my brother went to Morris Business College, but I had won a scholarship to go to Boston College, but I did not take it. So Mr. Ellis, he was our superintendent of schools, and he lived on Garden Street here, and he met me with my dog when I was walking up the street to walk my dog, and he said, Amy, why did you do that? You should have gone to college. Now I wish I had. But I got engaged after I graduated and got married.
You fell in love.
Yes.
Now that's the next part of our story.
Yeah, but he didn't belong to a family. He lived in Hartford, and I met him through our families.
Okay.
And we were at a party, and he wanted to take me to the State Street Theater.
Okay.
State Street in Hartford. Right beyond G. Fox.
Right.
Down, I forgot the name of that street, and he said. He wanted to take me to a movie.
Movie, right.
And I said no. But then he started going with my brother, coming here. He used to come in weekends to stay with my brother.
Okay, what was his name?
Peter Spirito.
Peter Spirito.
And he was born in Italy, but he was 9 years old when he came here.
When he came here. And tell us about, now you married, then you married Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us about what he did, and
he worked for the state of Connecticut for 39 years. He took care of the legislators. He started in the comptroller department, and I think they still call it comptroller.
Control, yeah.
Yeah, he took care of. He knew where the number of bills were when they wanted to pass some bills. He knew how to do it, and they should get the place ready. He worked for the building, in other words.
Right,
Is this your wedding photo?
Yes.
Oh, isn't that, what a beautiful couple.
What church is that?
No, this is, we went to a place to take the pictures. But I got married to St. Patrick's Church.
Okay.
Yeah, in 1934.
1934. Wow. So you got married and you had children?
Yes, I had Joe. They were born in Hartford. We lived in Judge Boney's block. It's up on the northwest part of Hartford.
Okay.
Beyond G. Fox, you go all the way up on the right, and you go to Windsor Windsor's the
Windsor.
top. But we're right in the corner. Just go over, right, there's a big building, not a building, a big statue at the corner there. And when my husband worked for the state, he used to meet me with my children in that park. I used to wait there. So we always, Joe, my Joe especially. Now Joe graduated from Farmington High, and my daughter Carolyn, she graduated from Farmington High, and Joe was teaching at the Farmington High. He taught math and history.
Okay, so that must be in your genes then. The mathematical aptitude must be. That must be.
Yeah, and history. He loved history.
He loved history.
And he still does. And Carolyn got married too after. Well, Joey got married in Hartford Church, but Carolyn got married at St. Patrick's Church with her husband.
Isn't that great? And now, okay, so we know what your husband did. Now, what did you do when you were married?
I won't take it. I won't take it there. I'll let him put it on the show.
Okay.
When I got married, I worked. No, I forgot where I was when I lived in Farmington. Before I went to Hartford, after I got married, I lived in. I'm forgetting the name. I named it in the other book. The street where I lived, Judge Boney's block. So when we took the apartment there, we lived on the 4th floor. It was beautiful. We absolutely kept up nicely. We had heat, hot water, you name it, janitor service. So it was
a nice apartment.
Yeah, we lived there until my son was 6 years old, and my daughter was born, of course. And so I wanted him to go to Farmington schools like I did.
Right.
I didn't want him to go to Hartford because when I was working at Eton, I was teaching some other kids who came from these other various schools, but they wouldn't seem to be good scholars, in other words.
You felt as though your education in Farmington was excellent.
Yes, so I'd rather have them come to it. So the first year, Mr. Robbins was my principal, and when he saw me there, that dropped my 2 children up there, he says to me, "Amy, I'm so glad you took them to our church, to our school."
Oh, isn't that
That's
nice?
the first word Mr. Robbins said. But when I was in school at Noel Wallace, we used to have Christmas banking. So we used to, whoever gave us some money, we used to put it in the bank in Farmington, bank here.
Oh, you learned how to bank?
Yeah, he had me walk every Monday after collecting, going all through the classes, collecting them and taking it to the bank, and then they would record in our book. Isn't that unusual?
That's amazing. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I know. He just loved me. He was so nice. He'd make sure I was doing the right thing. I said, boy, I don't know how I ever did it, but I did. So
they continued that policy of having them save through to when I was probably till 3rd grade.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that wonderful, really?
We had little coin things, and we had a little book.
Yes.
And everyone saved. But that is something which is severely lacking today.
They should do it now. When they have extra money, when they make it, they should bank it. So in other words, I banked since I was in Noel Wallace School.
Oh,
so
that
they all
is
knew
wonderful.
me up there. When I went for my mortgage, when I bought this house,
right?
I forgot the man's name. He said, "Amy, we'll always give you a mortgage no matter what." I had no problem at all. And now, when
at Farmington Savings.
When I go to Farmington Savings, because now sometimes I can't balance my checkbook, I go and Charlene helps me, and she puts in order again for me. Sometimes my brain doesn't work correctly now.
Well, it's working.
Most of the time, I should say.
Oh, no, you're doing great, Amy. So, okay, so we have your 2 children and all that now, and then you, I think you worked at Porter School for a little bit?
Yes, I worked at Porter School after, and I forgot the year. Oh, my Carolyn was going to kindergarten.
Right.
So I take her to kindergarten, and I'd go up and serve breakfast, and then I would wait till lunchtime to serve both.
And you had some very interesting...
I did. You know, and I met 2 movie stars.
Yes, tell everybody.
Maud Michelle Bouvier was, she's not a movie star. Maud Michelle Bouvier, they were twins. And we used to sell, I used to belong Mrs. Jenner. Have you heard Mrs. Jenner?
Yeah.
This is Mrs. Jenner's kindergarten. That's where my children, and I went. No, Joe Jr. went in Hartford to Catholic school, and Carolyn went to Mrs. Jenner. And so that's where I worked at Porter School for couple. I don't know how many years. And my dad got a job up there too.
Okay, that
and my
too. Right.
My sister, daughter, who's my niece, she worked up there in the dining room, and then her daughter, just retired now. My niece, she retired, and she worked in the office at Miss Porter School. There were 4 generations of my family at Miss Porter School.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So you met Jackie Kennedy. You helped get Jackie Kennedy,
Jackie
and who else?
Kennedy.
Who was the other movie star?
The other, there were 2 sisters. Oh, I wish I had my book.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's all right, okay. Well, Jackie Kennedy, that's a good start.
Yeah, Jackie Kennedy. She was at my table.
Now, well, her name was Bouvier, right?
Yeah, she was a book, but she was already married, but I think she was married by then. Because she used to ride a horse up High Street and go into back to the Episcopal Church where their horse barn was.
Now, was she a sweet girl?
Yes.
She was kind?
Yeah, very nice. I liked her.
That's great. So, okay, so then, now your kids got a little bit older. Then what did you do for a career?
Then when they got older, I worked for the drugstore, the Farmington Village. Do you remember that cat? Joe Lehman?
Yes.
Joe Lehman was my boss at the Village Pharmacy, and I worked there from 9 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. When the high school girls came in, they would take over. And John Coolidge was at my table at the Farmington Country Club,
right,
with his family.
That was the president's brother?
The president's son.
Son, okay.
Yeah, he lived up here on the corner of those apartment houses, and used to come to the drugstore every morning and get the newspaper. So I got to know him very well.
Isn't that great?
But then his family came one time, and they had dinner at the
Country Club?
Country Club when I worked there, and I met a lot of people in the Farmington Country Club. And that's how our street, we were very something too, our street was all dirt.
Right.
So I went to the, and I worked at the
Country Club?
Country Club. I went to the one in the Barneys, A.D. Barney.
Right.
He was a president of CLMP.
Right.
And he had people on the staff in the town. So I approached them at the Farmington Country Club. I said, I want my children to have a nice street. We had no lights when I was a little girl in here too.
Right.
So I worked on that. So sure enough, well, during our descent, they did everything nice. They named our street Hobart.
Isn't that interesting? Because Mr. Barney he also paid for the Barney Library.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a really great guy then.
Wonderful. He did a lot for the Farmington Library.
He did.
I still love that.
Now the next question is this: you also worked for the Aetna.
Yes, and I worked for
Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, then I got the job there. I was hired the day I applied. But they take your test. You have to take a test.
Took a test,
yeah,
right?
And then I had to take a health one too.
Right.
And they gave me the job right away.
Oh wow!
Well, not right that day. They told me the date to go. I worked there for 17 and a half years.
Wow!
And I used to love it. But then my daughter wanted me to retire.
Right.
When I was 55.
Right.
And my husband was already 55, 2 years previous to me, and he quit the Capitol. So we lived with the money from both companies.
With your retirement. Now I know that when you worked with the Aetna, that was what they call the good old days.
You're not kidding.
And you used to do a lot of traveling with
yes,
what did you do?
I belonged to the girls' club, and I was vice president of the Trinity Street, our department. Because from the main office, our department went to Trinity Street. So I went to Trinity Street. It's right down from the Capitol.
Right.
My husband worked in the Capitol. He used to drive us there. And then I walked down to the hill, go to Trinity Street. And I loved it there. But Carolyn wanted me to retire because Peter did. She didn't want her father to be here.
Rattling around in that house.
I know.
Now one other thing but also when you did a lot of, you liked the theater when you were at Noah Wallace School. So whenever you had an opportunity, you used to go to New York, didn't you?
Yes, we went to the ball game. We were down at the
Yankee
Yankees.
Stadium. Yeah.
I took my grandson with me. And we traveled there. And I went to Italy.
Right.
I went to Italy and
you went back home, back to your where your parents were
Where
from.
my parents lived, yeah. And then we took a 15-day tour. We went all the way up Cortina d'Ampezzo, where they had where all the states get together at the countries.
Right.
The Olympics. And the ski log was still there, with the big one, where they go skiing. And we went all the way up to Cortina, that's the northern part of Italy.
Right.
And then we went to the east side of Italy. And we didn't stop at every town, but we stopped in several places.
Right.
And we had nice hotels. We took that trip. It was absolutely wonderful. We went on a boat, and I got the two things here for the menus.
Right.
For
Right.
the two boats that we were now going to. Now it was I think it was Naples.
Naples, sure, that's a seaport.
We
Yeah.
stopped the seaport from New York. We had to go to New York to get the boat, to get the airplane.
Right.
No, the boat. I'm sorry. We didn't
So
fly.
you took a boat. You took a boat because that was in the
Naples.
50s.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's when transportation. Now, the thing that killed the transatlantic was airplanes.
Yes.
So that was after 1968. That was it for
Yeah.
the boats.
That's
But quick question: going back to when you were little, what was your favorite mode of transportation before the buses? How did you used to get to Hartford?
Trolley car.
The trolley car.
We went on trolley cars.
Uh-huh.
We took the operas, my father and I. And then my son went to that music place and Prospect, where the Times used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Prospect? No. It's
Sure.
not far from Etna. It's on
Well, oh boy, the Edna's on Farmington Avenue now too. But you mean the one down by the traffic circle? Was that
No, I
it?
think she's talking. There is a theater that used to be on Farmington Avenue, and I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
wasn't Majestic, right? No.
No, I don't know.
Now
I'm from New York, so I don't know.
Now I'm forgetting what I was saying.
That's all right. We were talking about transportation, about how.
Yeah, so that's what we did. So we went to Italy, and we took a 15-day tour, and we saw a lot of towns and places. I just loved every moment. And then coming home again. So it was 6 weeks altogether. 1 week to go, 1 week to come back, and 4 weeks in Italy I spent. We stayed with my cousin.
That's great. Now, when you think back of your whole life, okay, and you think about all the places that you've been and everything else, what is your favorite place to be in the whole world?
Truthfully, I like Farmington. Yeah, there's no place like Farmington.
No place like Farmington.
No place like Farmington.
Isn't that
I was
great?
born
Huh?
here, lived here a lot, just a few years I lived in Hartford. Those 6 years I was glad to get out of Hartford, but our apartment was beautiful. It was so nice. And Judge Boney was excellent.
Right.
You've heard of him. His son was a lawyer too, Judge Boney, and he became a lawyer. And they were very nice to me. They didn't want to see me move. But
Oh, I don't blame
my
him.
father gave me upstairs here.
Well, thank you so much, Amy. What a wonderful gift you gave us. It's a
Absolutely.
wonderful gift.
Thank
And
you.
I just thank you so much. We're going to get this together, and then you get to see it.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
Now I tell you too, I'm very proud of this too, that my son was taught in Farmington High and the Simsbury High, but then he moved to California, became superintendent of schools in Ventura.
Oh, isn't that
Right,
wonderful?
Ventura, California.
That's a great antidote.
And
Oh,
his
that's
son
wonderful.
is a lawyer, and his son's wife is a lawyer, and Mary was a teacher with him.
Isn't that great?
So,
well, you have
all
a
my
big,
family-
beautiful legacy.
How many grandchildren and great-grandchildren do you have?
Do it.
Do you want to ask her how many?
How many grandchildren and
I
great-grandchildren?
have 5 grandchildren and 10 greats.
Wow. Good for you. Good job, Mom.
Yeah.
I know.
Awesome.
I lived a very happy and interesting life.